So you submitted your DAAD Helmut Schmidt application and you want to know when you're going to get an invitation for an interview. I'm here to share my experiences about it. So it actually took me 2 tries to get this scholarship. On my first try, I submitted my requirements before the 31st of July like everyone else, and then I got a invitation for an interview on the 3rd week of November. However, the school informed me that I did not get in, and so I wanted to try once again in 2021. So in 2021, I did the same process. I submitted all of my requirements on the 31st of July, and then the school told me that they don't need to interview me anymore. And then I got my letter of nomination on the 3rd week of December. And then by the time it was like end of December or early January, I finally got my letter of award. So this is how the timeline usually goes. In July, you apply. In October or November, depending on your school, you would get interviewed. And then you get the letter of nomination on the 3rd week of December around this time, and then within the early next year or in December itself, you would get your letter of award. Of course, once again, this is just my experience. I'm not sure if this is the timeline still that they do, but then yes, this was how it was for my year and for my university. So I know as much as anyone how anxiety inducing applying for a scholarship is. That's why I wanted to share with you the timelines so you maybe know in your mind how much you have to wait and you don't like refresh your email every morning and every night or every like 10 minutes trying to wait for an answer. But then I have a few tips for you about this anxiety about waiting for an answer before I go to my tips as to how you can do well on your interview if you do get invited. So, my first tip on this would be to avoid incessant follow ups. Do not follow up every 2 days to the scholarship body or to the university. I've had like experiences from some friends telling me that scholarship applicants follow up with them because they won the scholarship in the past. So don't do this. Redirect your energy somewhere that's more productive. Speaking of redirecting your energy somewhere that's more productive, the first one would be to look at other scholarships. So, if you're really set on moving to Germany for your studies, you can look at the other scholarship programs that DAAD offers, or even some scholarships that universities themselves offer. If you want to look at like other opportunities in the US that's available, you can also look at Erasmus programs that would bring you to different cities throughout your studies. So the options are endless, and you can use this time and anxiety and built up pressure to make your application really good for these other scholarships. As we have heard, you never put your eggs into one basket, and so put them in multiple scholarships. You can also look at your backup plan. So, if you're really set on doing something else other than working or studying for the next year, you can look at if there's internship programs that you are qualified for abroad or even like applying for actual jobs abroad. This can also be possible for my working people who are watching me right now. And then finally, you need to remember that the result of this application does not define you. Once again, I applied for this scholarship 2 times before I got in, and I also applied to countless different scholarships. I applied to numerous Erasmus scholarships. So it's just a matter of waiting, and then if you get it or you don't, you can just let it go and then try again. And to help you also with waiting, you are not alone. Thousands of other people are in the same boat, and there's multiple communities online where you can interact with other anxious scholarship applicants. So, for what I did, I joined a community on Facebook, and it's really funny because actually, now that I looked at the Facebook group, a lot of my fellow scholarship holders and a lot of my friends in the program were actually in the same group. So that's always really fun. And if you do get the scholarship, you already have a community of people who you know got the award. And then also there's communities maybe on Reddit I haven't checked or other like scholarship forums around the internet. I'm sure you will find something. So, say you got an invite for an interview. Congratulations! You should be proud of yourself that you made it this far. It means your application was chosen from a pool of other applicants and that you're now ready to go to the next level. So, these are my tips that I have with me from my experiences that you can maybe apply for your interview to make it successful. The first one is a very obvious one, and it is to review all of the documents that you submitted to DAAD and to the school, and then review it once again. You should know all of your job experiences, you should know all of your coursework from your university, you should know all of your motivation, everything that was in your motivation letter, and why you applied for this scholarship. So just like be very familiar with what you gave them because it's definitely gonna come up in the questions. The next is once again being sure to the answer as to why you want to study in this university. So your answer should be deeper than it's a good school. You need to look at what the university specializes in and why you're interested in that or why that's in line with your experiences. If there's any professors that you would like to work with, or if there's any interesting partnerships or maybe institutes in the university that you're excited about. Also, go deeper. Look into the programs, why it's connected to your previous academic experience, why it's connected to your job. Have a look at the curriculum. Sometimes the universities post the curriculum for the second and the first year of the master's, and then just have a little read about what they're all about just to be more prepared about the questions coming up because some questions might also be inspired by that. So the next tip would be to be ready for the tell me about your job question. You need to have a short spiel ready to give to the interviewer. So you should highlight your relevant skills, achievements, and how it's related to the curriculum and how you would actually contribute also to the enrichment of the program. If you are switching fields, you need to be ready to explain why you're also switching fields and then yeah, just try to match everything about your job to the program and how you can contribute. Next, you should also be ready to answer the question, why Germany? You cannot just say you want to move to Germany because of the beer or the schnitzel. You need to also connect it to the program. So, for example, you could say that you want to study in Germany because it has a strong academic reputation, or if there's any like figures in Germany that you also admire in your field, or if there's any strong industries in Germany that are related to what you did in the past, you can say it to the interviewer at this point, and you should be ready for that also. So my last tip is about your appearance and your delivery. So try to wear more business casual clothes just so you can look more professional during the interview. Just a short anecdote, during my interview, my hair was blonde, so I dyed it black. I definitely did not need to do that, but then this just shows how committed I was to the interview. Also, try to speak your points during the session clearly and slowly so that the interviewer would, of course, understand you. And then, if you don't know an answer to the question, do not panic. Just admit that you don't know the answer to the specific question and then pivot to a related point that you do know. So, aside from watching this video, how can you prepare for the interview? What I did was I made my list of questions and then I tried to think of an answer for each one of them. I did not make a script because I'm so sure that my mind would go blank during the interview itself and then I would just not remember anything. So I made an ideation of how I want to answer and then I did not do it word by word. I also looped in a friend to practice with me so that I feel more natural during the interview itself. And then finally, I just remembered that, you can just do as much as you can to prepare. And then I just try to meditate a little bit before the interview itself. So, yeah, these are my tips as to how to overcome the anxiety of waiting for an answer and also how to ace your interview. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment, and as always, I will answer all of them as to the best of my abilities. And if you watched this far, thank you very much, and I will see you on the next one.